What's up? Ever since I watched the PlayStation Experience, if you guys checked that live stream that I recently did, I watched the entire thing on live. People came through, talked, we had a good time. Not long. Look at this thing. What is this? What is this? How can you play a game with this? It's terrible. Where would you keep it? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? This looks like a bug. It looks like a futuristic robot that's supposed to crawl or something. It don't look like it's a... This thing is crazy. That's a joystick without the box. Seriously. To begin with, if you were there, you would know that I was a little bit disappointed in the PlayStation Showcase. The only good thing they showed there was probably, for me, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. That's the main thing I care about. They showed Final Fantasy, of course, which I'm going to get for sure. They showed this one game that looked like Ghost of Tsushima mixed with Ninja Gaiden mixed with a whole lot of other shit. That combat system is fire. Ooh! Oh, hell no. Look at that. Oh, hell no. That shit is dynamic as fuck. He was fighting two people at once. And then they showed, for me, personally, the next big title that everybody's going to get is, of course, Spiderman. So when I saw Spiderman, it kind of reminded me of watching a Naughty Dog E3 showcase. I was impressed, of course, but it's shit that I've seen before. We're at a time now to where it's kind of hard to impress when it comes to technology-wise and pushing the envelope. It has to be creativity now. The showcase preview, it looked like something that I've seen before. It looked like the Uncharted 4 chase when they were driving in the car and everything like that. It kind of reminded me of that when it came to this. But to me, Uncharted looked kind of better than Spider-Man PS5, which is kind of weird. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little disconnect. So, a lot of people are saying this is Spider-Man 2.0. It's not fully a sequel, quote unquote, you know what I'm saying, because it just looked the same. But, you know, I don't know how they can innovate this too much. I know gameplay mechanics can change because you got the symbiote involved, you got Venom there, so probably new villains and shit like that. But far as being blown away or being a PlayStation 5 showpiece, I don't think we're gonna get that from this. You know what I'm saying? It's just gonna be more of what we love the first time. So that's what I'm expecting from this. So I'm not really tripping. I'm excited to see the performance preview that they just dropped. So yeah, without talking too much, man, let's get into this. I kind of want to, I'm kind of looking to be impressed again. You know what I'm saying? I'm not feeling that. The only thing I felt impressiveness from is either Final Fantasy or Metal Gear, and that's it. Spider-Man is probably number 3 for me, which sucks because, you know, I wanted more innovation with what I was looking at. It still looks good, but for PS5 and what we got right now, I expect, you know, a little bit more. Let me just be honest. You know, am I being too needy? Fuck it, whatever. Let's get into this.
I've been in your shadow for hours, but you sense nothing.
Kraven looks really good.
Is the head that wears the crown. And that's most certainly true of Insomniac, the single biggest studio during the launch year of the PlayStation
Ratchet and Clank
5
still king.
beyond. That crown appears to be no lighter, as yet again they were tasked with showing off the biggest single gameplay of any first party at the PlayStation Showcase last week.
True.
Being a technology-focused team since their inception during the 32-bit era, they quickly improved their engine to show off the potential of the PlayStation 5.
This looks like Uncharted, though.
They continue to swing higher and further than all others in Spider-Man 2.
I mean, don't that kind of look like the Uncharted chase scene?
Now, gameplay previews always need to be caveated that this is all a work in progress and will significantly change come launch. But when it comes to software development, the polishing, the refinement and optimization are all later in delivery. And some of the footage shared here bears this out. Something we have seen consistently, almost as if Sony were not sure which of the two they would show, or both. The first being a real-time cinematic that introduced a new main villain in Kraven the Hunter, taking out an unknown expendable bad guy in hard target fashion. Now we can see the sharp material quality, keyframes, facial animation and performance capture have continued from the first 2 games, along with the physically based but heavily stylized rendering and character models. And although surely it has some boosts across the board, noticeably in the hairspline technique they used in the remaster, Miles and Ratchet and Clank, and exclusive to the PlayStation 5 in its higher fidelity mode, here ramping up the beard, hair and warm collar of Kraven, perfect for those cold jungle days. The models, the textures, the animation do not appear significantly improved, but they're certainly better. Not a slight or required, as the originals were already top tier in this regard, and these sections may also change come release.
See, that's the thing that I wanted to say too, though, was the fact that making leaps with the PS5 is going to be extremely fucking hard. So like, it kind of sucks because like even what the last God of War Ragnarok, of course, looks better than God of War 1, but it's only slightly. To where like usually back in the day when we used to get new games, especially the second game, they were leaps and bounds ahead of what the first one was. It didn't look like, and that's the reason why we got this running joke going around to where if a second game comes out, we call it 2.0. It's just DLC because it doesn't look that much of a leap. That's the reason why this type of shit, and I hate it, is that it's not impressive anymore. None of this shit is. The whole sequence with him in the water and stuff like that, that type of stuff isn't impressive. What's impressive to me now are smart gameplay mechanics that only the PS5 can do. That shit that blows me out the water now. Not just, big old set pieces, graphical shit and stuff like that. That's fine. But there are some things to where you can tell that the platform itself is really stretching and you can just feel it. Especially if you're into technology, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There are certain things besides graphics that make you realize that you're playing a next-gen game. This just feels like the same shit to me. I'm still going to play it and I still like it, but it just, it feels kind of the same.
From a real-time cinematic perspective, they have retained the same seamless and integrated dynamic camera, fast load.
God, he looks like Aaron Taylor.
And I'm sure the data and memory management are key aspects the team are still knee-deep on development. We got a nice mix of these during the second segment, a 7+ minute gameplay, highlighting that we can expect more of the same mix of free roam combat, exploration and QTE sections, or at least that's what they showed us in this teaser, which follows the same engine blueprints at least, that delivered on a broader and more visceral story than the first two games. From this aspect, the improvements seem to be refinement and incremental steps, with potentially still a ways off completion, with that stated autumn 2023 release.
Right. Now I'm gonna be real. Miles Morales game looks pretty dope. It looks good when you get close up, but overall it still reminds me of Spiderman 1.
The game is nothing new, and we know this is true of Insomniac of old, with Rift Apart having multiple showings before release that demonstrated its progression.
Right.
But even Spider-Man had the same, with the infamous Puddlegate incident of E3 2017's reveal compared here to the final PlayStation 5 game in its fidelity mode. The game was improved in many areas since then, least of which was the reflections and the PS5 remaster that introduced ray trace reflections, something Miles Morales pushed further still, adding muscle deformation on Miles' suit, which leveraged the GPU via the Ziva RT machine learning mesh calculation system, which is used to generate more film-like cloth and muscle deformation.
Interesting.
Which makes a huge increase on character movement, builds, and the realism overall, as these comparison shots of the mesh technology enabled versus disabled clearly demonstrate on the Miles Morales title. Now this is almost certainly in use here in
That's
the
interesting. I didn't know that. Wow.
suits, or at least the two outfits here donned by Miles and Spider-Man. Sorry, I mean Venom. And in addition to that, the hair spline techniques, the ray tracing itself, and almost instant loading show that Insomniac are a victim of their own success in some ways.
Yeah.
With all of these being added to their engine post the PlayStation 4 original release, and all exclusive to the PlayStation 5, it means that aside the improvements in these tentpole tech items, they've already played their hand on key benefits that these will present in the sequel. But that is not to say that they have not continued to expand on the engine features whilst improving on the ones already present. One area this has been shown off quite well was the seamless character switching. It's not new, obviously, dating back to Maniac Mansion. The Lost Vikings was built around it on 16.
Yeah, and Grand Theft Auto do the same thing too as well. Grand Theft Auto, so it's not a next gen feature. Grand Theft Auto literally did the character switching to where you get to switch to each character no matter where they are, and they will be in random spots in the city. So I have a feeling it's going to be the same way with Spider-Man 2, to where you could just change from Miles Morales to Peter to both of those characters, and I guarantee you there's going to be additional characters added too. So that's kind of cool, but it's already been done last gen. And like what he just said, they already pulled their hand when it came to the systems and stuff like that. The systems technology. The leaps aren't, that noticeable anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it's cool, it's nice, but now it's gonna make devs be more creative in what they do with the technology. Besides just trying to make it prettier or try to do big bombastic set pieces, you got to be more creative now to blow people away.
Bit machines, as was Donkey Kong Country, among a myriad more. Modern games such as Watch Dogs Legions and even
they show Grand Theft Auto,
also enabled this across open cities, even on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360,
right?
Which is closer to what we see here in Spider-Man 2. The swap seems to be triggered here via a set-piece ending, but it may be a free choice for you during the game.
I think it is.
The new spot is only a few seconds or less, but it's hard to pick out exactly when it starts to load and swap. This is far more complex than just streaming in new data, and it was actually a very impressive technical feat for this demonstration. A mere few seconds to switch across this huge New York map, which is now expanded here with new sections not seen in the previous two games, means it could become more than just a technical feature and actually a big gameplay and puzzle-solving element within the title, which the team have actually teased towards. And I look forward to learning more on this closer to launch. Now, complementing this, or building upon it, is the stark increase in world.
Look how far he can launch himself.
Miles by name and by nature. As using these context launch points, he can now catapult himself skyward and then become Sonic the Hedgehog in New York. As he
I like that
wingsuit.
wingsuit.
Speed rings at a breakneck pace.
Yeah.
Compared to the remaster, aligning this small section at the edge of Manhattan docks is impossible, as the new game is at least 2 to 3 times faster in moving through the city now. But the streaming of data, assets, and straight into real-time cinematics shows that they have made significant leaps here. Helped by not having to factor in any mechanical drives or the PS4's memory and CPU subsystems, this level of dynamic data and context animations, movement and streaming is perfectly demonstrated in the ending chase across the waters of New York, as visibility is long and yet popping is kept to a minimum.
It is, yeah.
Present at times. This will become, I'm sure, a key area in the game's set pieces like the previous ones, but being able to juggle more enemies, objects, density of locales, and animations on the fly.
Sorry guys, it's skipping. It's skipping a little bit. Let me bring this down. I think my potato-ass computer can't handle the fact that it's 14p. That's probably the reason why.
It again be a great enabler for Insomniac to ramp up the action, the fidelity, and dynamic nature of these bread and butter scripted but fun action sequences, alongside making fast travel a core gameplay feature.
Even though, really, I don't see a point in using fast travel in a Spider-Man game. It's just fun to swing around.
Really exciting.
Another big
it's good to have
area
the option.
of improvement, and certainly a standard weakness within video game rendering, is water. The first title certainly didn't have the best water in games, but far from the worst. It effectively used a tessellation height map surface for the water bodies themselves.
Yeah, that's not good at all.
A shader tessellation of geometry around the character themselves, which is bolstered further by some alpha effects to simulate the impact of you going in and out of the water. Specular and normal maps were then added on top, which gave additional detail for the undulations and the reflections of the sunlight bouncing off the surface, which was convincing, certainly from a distance.
Right.
But you generally didn't spend much time in water at all, and it wasn't used heavily in the title.
Exactly.
In addition to this,
it's not spider
the
water.
reflections used screen space reflections. So looking at the new game, they've certainly improved water bodies in 2 key areas. They've removed the need to rely on screen space reflections now, or at least in this mode shown off, which removes the artifact we saw with the occlusion and disocclusion errors that happen often with screen-spaced effects, now replaced fully with ray trace reflections across all these large water bodies.
Oh yeah, you see that? Yep.
They seem to have improved the reflection quality of those ray trace reflections, adding more of a stochastic and therefore diffuse level of contact across multiple surfaces.
That's interesting.
Perfectly for water.
Sorry, my guy.
Quality of those ray trace
Watch
reflections, adding more of a stochastic and therefore diffuse level of contact.
That's diffusion. Because like for some odd reason, I don't know why, it seems like it's breaking apart. That's just not just a shadow. That's like literally the water is. I think the system is telling it that something is on top of it and it's like meshing it. It's pushing it down. That's kind of weird though.
Across multiple surfaces, which works perfectly for water at these low glancing angles. Giving strong
it's diffusion
as that low sun bounces off the surface, along with the water ripples and undulation, gives a very pleasing level of visibility as you fly through this very frantic section. In addition to this, they've certainly significantly improved the tessellation and height map undulation, as you see here with the fight between Miles and Doc Croc, as he dives into the water beside, it pulls that water surface down as it stretches and morphs around his impact, before bouncing back up again. Now, in addition to this, we see very similar alpha effects on top of this, which again are likely placeholder areas that the team will still be working on. It is drastically improved over the previous titles, though, with a much better mix of alpha effects GPU particles, hiding that blend between the characters and the tessellated mesh of the water body. This is likely still work in progress, though, as I say, and it may change and improve come launch.
Yeah, it's like the Rhino section.
Previously, water simulation is very expensive and difficult, and therefore it really is a fluid simulation that is required to convince, but the team have done an exceptional job in improving on the previous title, and it does point to the fact that they'll be using water bodies and potentially water combat more often, due to the fact it was a key element in this demonstration.
And one of them, remember?
That Croc looked like a menace.
The original PlayStation 4 and Pro versions were and remain some of the best looking open world games of last generation. The PlayStation 5 updates improved in key areas on that, and comparing the remaster and Miles to the latest title, in only the small sections we can use in those games, we can see that changes to building, assets, materials and reflections are present. Some of the level of detail, certainly in the tree billboard imposters, do appear to be placeholder, and textures...
Now that looks good. Miles Morales did.
This is commonplace. These can be swapped out with the latest versions at any point during development. Comparison shots show tree billboards are worse at times, as are textures, but some are due to the bitrate of this 4K feed. Streaming travel is now 2 to 3 times faster than before, as no PlayStation 4 version needs to be factored in. And trees do not swap to 3D geometry until a little closer than the previous titles. Now this may be a balance between the longer draw distance it seems to have in the city and the huge traversal increase it now has. But this is a slice of a game deep in development, so it is also likely quick wins to achieve a stable frame rate for this demo were deployed, which never seemed to buckle from its 30 FPS target. Like the previous games, Insomniac's Temporal Injection AA is present and includes a dynamic resolution scaling element, which counts here fluctuate from a counted high of 3456 by 1944 and a low of 1440p. These are
interesting.
Now this is the best use of the machine, and the image quality and details were impressively sharp, and the game has always had an exceptionally clean and stable image as a result.
Must be sushi.
See, Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales looks good.
Time of day and
that always looks good, but it's still not the best. Shit. Yeah, but it's still not the best though. It looks good, but it's still not the best. According to Spider-Man 2, I know it's a just in progress type of thing, but we'll see how it looks compared, because like to me for right now, the best looking Insomniac game right now is Ratchet & Clank. Ratchet & Clank is the prettiest game I have ever played. I just recently went back to play it last week, and this game has been out since the launch of the PS5. That game still looks incredible. Maybe because it's stylized and stuff like that too, that it's much harder to make something that's based in reality, because still New York is a real place. You have buildings that are iconic that we know and stuff like that. We got environments. This place looks kind of like how we're familiar with places like New York City. So it's kind of hard for it to look realistic and stylized at the same time while making it look good.
It does move in this demo at certain points, which may be a bug, but may also point to the fact they now move to a full time of day cycle between blends, whereas the previous titles used fixed points of day and weather systems for story beats.
Right.
The game itself also uses cascaded shadow maps from this demo, with the sun being a key light source in the demo, but also interiors show the cascade can be improved at a relatively short distance. That said, interior electric lights do seem to have been improved with their contact hardening and a soft penumbra as they stretch further from the light and contacting source. The first games also had interiors that were lit by outside lights, as here, and these cast shadows and reacted well with the excellent physically based materials. Walking through this dark section, we can see the dynamic light sources,
I love this part,
and improved ray trace reflections on the metal pipes. These have improved over the previous games and look much better.
Yeah.
In addition, the game also uses screen space shadows and ambient occlusion, with the long distance shots at the start helping to ground the object and stop that game look that can happen. But you can see these draw out as the screen space data is occluded or drawn off screen.
Ooh, that stuttering is
You can
making
see this during traversal also, and these are good solutions that balance quality with performance. The ambient occlusion does appear to be better than before, with it being of a higher precision, or at least it does not present the same occlusion issues as per the first game. Now, having no ray trace shadows may again only be a development issue, as the previous game never launched with a 60 FPS ray trace reflection mode, but this actually came post-launch.
Right.
So the final game may yet see these added, even if for short-range interior light sources, which would again be a perfect balance of performance and quality. Which closes off this preview of an overall impressive demo from Insomniac once again. The areas that have not been shown or can be confirmed are likely.
It's not mind-blowing, but it's pretty good.
Interesting. For example, the deformation and venom powers could be expanding on that Ziva RT machine learning they introduced in Miles Morales, and this will aid the dynamic blends and morphs between fixed meshes during gameplay in real time. And actually, the venom powers were very impressive from a visual and animation perspective.
Yeah.
This aids memory space and improves that film-like quality they're going for. Now, this theory is bolstered further as the venom arms and webs now cast shadows, which only
I didn't notice that
did in the first game, as these are polygon-based and not a flat texture, which the web lines were, as they do not cast shadows. If we look back to the increases the team made to both Spider-Man games and Rift Apart post-release, I think it's safe to say that this is just an appetizer for the main event come the end of this year. What we have is a clear evolution on the base the first game.
I love that combo though.
With clear improvements across many areas, and I'm sure the web swinging combat will be even more flamboyant and flashy than the first game.
Let's hope.
I, for one, am certainly looking forward to swinging back into that very soon. And that's it for another performance and graphic related preview. If you like what we do here on IGN, then keep it IGN Performance Reviews, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Okay. They kind of gave more insight.
2, 3, Allie!
Now, let me just say this. Was it me or was his mic way lower than the video itself? Like, he sounded like he was muffling. It sounded like his audio diffusion was completely off. Like, it sounded like when he was talking, the volume was extremely low, and I got my volume up. It seemed like I was trying to hear him a little bit more. But as soon as he cut off and he played the gameplay and everything, the volume just skyrocketed again. So he had some audio issues during that time. I kind of want to see if people said that shit too, like in the comments. They didn't. Okay, well, they didn't. Okay, well, here's what I think about the entire thing. Let me summarize what I'm really thinking about right now, like when it comes to this. To me, this is still going to be a good game. I still believe that Miles Morales is going to be an excellent game. It's not going to be an average game. I love the first one. What makes me think about the lack of a leap is because we had God of War do the same thing. God of War Ragnarok was cool. I love God of War Ragnarok, but still, there's no the jump from 1 to 2 is not that big at all. And yeah, they could basically consider it DLC. I'm just being honest. It looks a little better. It does. But it doesn't look revolutionarily better. It doesn't look completely, to where it's like, oh, wow, look how we used to be blown away by part 2s that come out on next-gen consoles. We aren't anymore. It's not that big of a leap. So for me, yeah, I already know that Miles Morales is going to be good, but this PlayStation Showcase was a long time coming. So I really expected more out of this PlayStation Showcase. I'm not saying I'm disappointed with Spider-Man. I'm going to get it. I'm just disappointed with the lack of innovation when it comes to this new technology, period. That's literally all I'm saying right now. So, I just expected a little bit more from the showcase. I'm still a little disappointed, but I'm still gonna buy Spider-Man. But for right now, it looks kind of the same. It looks samey to me. Yeah, you got new like mechanics. You got the Venom, the symbiote, and it's probably a host of shit that they're not showing right now. To where I think you're gonna be able to play with more than just Spider-Man and Miles Morales. You're gonna probably play with it. Probably a surprise character that we don't know, that we don't see coming. That's probably going to be a part of the roster. But, it's probably going to be Venom, since Venom is an anti-hero too. So, like the symbiote is probably going to go to Eddie Brock or whatever, and then he's probably going to be the third character that you can control. I think that would be sweet. That would be dope as hell. But, yeah, I kind of like the technology for right now, but we'll see how far they can push it, and we'll see how much innovation is actually going to be made when the game actually comes out. I'm not going to say too much. I got to give my honest opinion, of course, man. Like, this is just how I am. So, fuck it. Peace out.